worthwhile, doesn't it?
Worth anything.
I'm sorry, it's getting a little crowded in here. Do you guys mind?
Doctor, we understand.
Well, I gotta get to work.
I wonder how the Porchenkos are.
Spoke to Anthony Jones while you're in the kitchen. They're quite safe.
Oh, well, that's a relief. I could hardly sleep last night trying to figure out what our next move would be.
You're really enjoying this, aren't you? Hmm?
Well, you have to admit, it's a lot more fun than selling scarves at the boutique.
Not to mention dangerous.
Yes, isn't it? So, what is our next move?
Our next move. Well, needless to say, we've got to move them out of the hospital. They're far too vulnerable there.
Then what?
Well, I haven't thought about that bit yet. First, we keep them safe, and then we try to work out this business of their defection with the State Department.
But it will be all right, won't it?
Well, see why not.
I'll get it.
Good morning, Mrs. Scorpio.
Ah, Mr. Jackson from the State Department. You want to see my husband?
You bet I do.
Did you get my message?
I've got more than that, Scorpio. I've got a great big headache at State because of the Porchenkos. And you are in one hell of a lot of trouble. Dangerous game, Scorpio.
I did what I had to do.
And broke every rule doing it.
I wasn't aware that there were rules for defection.
I assure you, Mrs. Scorpio, there are very definite ones.
Well, I didn't have time to run to the local library and borrow a copy of them.
Don't get flip about this, Robert. The State Department is very upset.
The Porchenkos asked for political asylum.
And you had no right helping them.
Why not?
To begin with, an ordinary citizen cannot accept a defector.
That's ridiculous.
You know very well Porchenko should have notified someone at State of his intention to defect before he did it.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
The State Department doesn't make up these rules for the fun of it. There are reasons.
Such as?
It guards against any possible accusations later on that we coerced the defector.
Oh, I assure you, we didn't do that.
That is not the point.
There was hardly time to observe protocol.
Mrs. Porchenko had already defected, and she and her husband were in great danger.
Why didn't you call us then?
We did. Valentine, vacation, McAllister, unavailable. What am I meant to do? Sit them down at a table with the DVX and say, have a few drinks until I find someone?
Well, you could have done something else.
I had to act.
It was not in your authority to act. Look, as a former WSB agent, you knew that.
I did what I felt was right. As a man, a human being, not an agent.
The Porchenkos were in a terrible predicament. Mr. Jackson, surely you can't fault my husband for wanting to help.
That is not the point.
This whole conversation has no point. They've defected, and that's that.
Not legally. Now, where are they?
They're safe.
Where?
Darling, look after Mr. Jackson, will you?
Where are you going?
I got to dress for work. I'm expected there, and I know how hot you are and people doing things that they're expected to do.
Now, hold on a minute, Scorpio.
Mr. Jackson, please, come on, let me take your coat, sit down. I'll get you a lovely croissant to go with our coffee. Please, sit down.
I'm sorry that took so long.
That's all right. Your wife is a charming hostess.
The poor man hadn't had a thing to eat since he left Washington this morning.
Look, I apologize for the way I came storming in here. You must think I'm a real bear, Mrs. Scorpio.
Not at all. And please, call me Holly.
Holly. Look, Robert, try to look at my side of this, will you? The State Department had me up all night over this Porchenko mess. I've been under a lot of pressure because of this.
It's not as if states never handled a defection before.
This one's different.
How?
The fact that the Porchenkos were helped by a WSB agent.
Former WSB agent.
Try telling Porchenko's embassy that.
They think Robert still works for the government?
That's right. So they're saying the Porchenkos didn't defect voluntarily.
They know very well they did.
Nevertheless, Porchenko's embassy has filed a formal complaint charging the United States with abduction.
Now that is absurd.
Of course it is. But they're sure as hell not going to admit the truth.
Which is, of course, that two of their citizens got fed up with living under an oppressive government.
Anyway, now you know why I wasn't too pleased when I rolled in here.
So what happens now?
Protocol requires that we allow their embassy officials to interview the Porchenkos.
Embassy officials. Read DVX.
We know that. They know it. But that's the rule.
But why?
So Porchenko's country can determine whether or not they really want to defect.
Look, hang their country and their complaints. The only reason they want to get them on their own is so that they can intimidate them into changing their minds.
If we don't grant them this interview, they will tell the whole world that the United States government is holding 2 of their citizens against their will.
So the Porchenkos will say we're not.
And Porchenko's country will claim that we're using threats to make them say that.
DVX agent tried to kill them last night.
I promise you they'll be safe.
No.
You know, maybe it would be better if they spoke to their embassy people.
Why?
Well, that way the Porchenkos could make it perfectly clear that they want to stay here.
The country really can't afford an international incident, Robert.
I don't see that there's any other choice.
All right. However, there will be certain ground rules.
We'll discuss that later. Now, will you tell me where they are?
You set up the meeting first.
I assure you, no one will know but me.
You arrange the meeting, then we'll discuss where they are.
All right. I'll get to work on it. As soon as I have all the details worked out, I'll call you at your office.
No tricks.
I'm on the good guy's side, remember? Nice seeing you again, Holly.
I don't like this.
Then why did you come in on his side?
For the Porchenkos' sake. The sooner we deal with this, the sooner they'll be able to get on with normal life.
Unless, of course, the DVX foul it up. I've got to call Grant and tell him what's going on.
Hello?
Grant, it's Robert.
Are the Porchenkos all right?
Well, so far, yeah, but we got trouble. Jackson was just here.
From the State Department?
You remember him?
Yeah, my old friend. He gave me a pretty thorough going over when I defected. What did he want?
Well, he's furious over our involvement with the Porchenkos. He said Porchenko's embassy has filed a complaint claiming coercion.
That's to be expected.
Yeah, well, anyway, they want to interview them.
No. Robert, every one of those people is involved with the DVX.
You don't have to tell me that. But I can't go into it now, Grant. Can you meet me at the hospital?
Of course. I wouldn't advise telling the Porchenkos about this right away.
Oh, why not?
Because if they find out that the embassy wants to talk to them, they could take it the wrong way, misinterpret, think that we are giving in to the pressure.
Yeah, good point. All right, then all we do is assure them that we're still on their side. Because, look, if they try to run, there's no way we can protect them.
I couldn't agree more. I'll meet you at the hospital.
I really can't answer that, Dr. Porchenko.
Well, surely you can give us some idea when we can cease hiding.
Aren't they treating you well here?
Very well. We don't mean to be ungrateful.
It is very unsettling, not knowing what is going to happen.
Well, Doctor, there's one thing you can count on. You are going to be free very soon.
You know, perhaps I've been living in my country so long that I have forgotten that freedom is possible.
Well, it certainly is for you.
Have you heard anything about what's to be done with us?
As a matter of fact, I talked with a State Department official today.
And
Well, there's still a little bit of red tape to work through.
like what?
Just formalities. Some paperwork, some people you have to talk to.
What people?
Oh, you know, bureaucrats.
But who?
Well, we don't know yet.
No. I don't like it.
Doctor, I promise you there's nothing to worry about. I went through the same process myself.
Really, Doctor, there is nothing for you to worry about.
I am afraid, Mr. Scorpio. I am afraid of your bureaucrats not allowing us to come to the United States to live.
That's just not true.
But who are we? We are not famous dancers. We're not famous artists. Why would they risk all this trouble for us?
I feel there's something you're not telling us.
Look, you must believe here that Grant and I are doing everything possible to assure your safety.
But you cannot promise us that we will not be turned over to the DVX.
Grant, you know how dangerous they are.
Yes, I do. And I also know that they can be beaten, and I swear to you that that is exactly what we're going to do. I'll never let them take you back, never.
Code Red, 4th floor with crash unit staff. Code Red, 4th floor with crash unit staff.
How is Jackson? I've got to get back to the office.
Did he say what it's about?
Something about, bringing over an embassy official.
You think that they might want to talk to the Porchenkos today?
He wouldn't say.
All right. Robert, let me sit in on the meeting.
Wait a minute, Grant. I don't think that's such a good idea. Now, you're not really on the DVX's list of Mr. Wonderfuls.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stay out of it for now, but I want in on the official meeting.
See if I can swing it.
Please. Celia, what are you doing here?
Well, didn't you get the message that I called?
Yes, but I was heading straight home. What's wrong?
Celia and I were talking, and we decided we want to come down here ourselves. We want to know what's going on with the Porchenkos.
Look, you've both done your share.
Well, sure, but it's not over yet, and until it is, we think we have a right to know what's happening.
Robert, if it's all right with you, I would like to let Celia in on our progress. I know from experience how much my actions can affect her life.
Thank you, Grant. Well,
Since when have you ever bothered to ask my permission to do anything?
did you tell the Porchenkos yet that they have to be interviewed by embassy officials?
Well, we decided to wait on that one.
Yeah, they're still quite shaken by what's happened already.
And, somewhat unsure of their position.
What is their position? Will they be able to defect after the meeting?
To be perfectly honest, that's the real reason we haven't yet told them about the meeting.
Dr. Porchenko is rather concerned that they won't be allowed to stay here, and I really can't blame him.
But surely they'll be allowed to defect.
You heard how negative Jackson was this morning. I mean, right now, I can't say for sure whether the verdict could go against them.
But they'd have to go back to their own country.
Holly, what it means, in effect, is that their lives would be forfeit, and I won't have that happen.
Still, Grant, there is a limit to what you can do.
I will not see them sent back.
Grant, you are hardly in a position to defy the United States government. If they say they have to go back, what else can we do?
Wait a minute. Now, I think we're all being a little pessimistic at this point. The verdict could well go in their favor.
It could, but let's suppose it doesn't. We have to have an alternative plan.
Well, we can hardly keep putting them from hiding place to hiding place.
I'll do whatever I have to do. The Porchenkos are not being sent back to the motherland.
Look, I've got to get back to the office.